everyone, and welcome back to English Without Limit. If you are new here, this is the place where we help you improve your English every single day. We upload new episodes to make your English better, more natural, and easier to use in real life. Today's topic is one of the most powerful skills you can develop: thinking in English and speaking like a native. Many English learners struggle because they translate from their own language into English before speaking. This creates delays and makes sentences sound unnatural. In this episode, I will show you how to change that. You will learn practical tips, and I'll share stories and examples to make everything clear. When I first started learning French, I had the same problem. I remember standing in a small bakery in Paris. The baker asked me what I wanted, and I froze. In my head, I said the sentence in English first, then I tried to translate it into French. By the time I spoke, the moment was gone. That is what happens when you translate in your head. Now, imagine this. You are talking to a colleague named Daniel in the office. He asks, "What do you think about this report?" If you start translating from your language into English, you pause and hesitate. But if you think in English, you can answer quickly and naturally. I think the report looks great, but we can add more details to the introduction. This is how native speakers sound: smooth and confident. So, what is the first step to thinking in English? It's using English for simple things during your day. For example, when you wake up, do not think in your language, "I need to brush my teeth." Say it in English in your mind. "I need to brush my teeth." When you make coffee, think, "I am making coffee now. It smells good." These small habits build your English brain. I remember one of my students, Emma. She used to translate every single word in her head. She told me, "Julia, I cannot speak fast." I gave her this advice: every time you see something, describe it in English silently. If you see a chair, say in your head, "This is a wooden chair. It looks comfortable." After 1 month, her English changed completely. She could answer questions without thinking in her native language. Another great way to think in English is to ask yourself questions in English and answer them in English. For example, when you are walking outside, ask, "What do I see?" Then answer, "I see a tall building. The sky is blue. People are walking quickly." This makes English part of your thinking process. And here's something important. Do not wait for perfect grammar before speaking. Native speakers do not think about every rule when they talk. They focus on ideas, not grammar charts. One day during a meeting, his boss asked him a question. John translated the question into his language, then translated his answer into English. Everyone was waiting, and John felt nervous. Later, he told me, "I have to change this." So he started practicing by thinking in English during his commute. After 2 months, he could answer in meetings without delay. Here's another exercise for you. When you are cooking, say the steps in English. "I am cutting the onions. I am adding salt. The food is boiling." If you do this every day, your brain will stop using your first language and start using English automatically. A final tip before we continue with more examples. Stop using subtitles in your own language when you watch something in English. Use English subtitles instead. This forces your brain to connect words with meaning directly in English, not through translation. Now, let's dive into more practical techniques and real stories that will help you sound like a native. Imagine this. You are in a supermarket and you meet your colleague Daniel. He smiles and says, "Hi, how are you?" If you think in your language first, you will need to translate your answer. That takes time and creates stress. But if you think in English, your response comes naturally. "I'm good, thanks. Just buying some groceries. How about you?" Notice how simple that sounds, yet it feels natural and confident. This is why I always say, do not focus on long and complicated sentences at first. Focus on short, natural phrases that native speakers use. For example, instead of saying, "I am going to my house after work because I need to complete some tasks," a native speaker would simply say, "I'm heading home after work to finish some things." Thinking in English helps you choose the simple, natural version without stress. Here is another example. Imagine you are in a meeting and someone asks, "What's your opinion on this plan?" If you think in English, you might say, "I think it's a good idea. We just need to adjust the timeline." But if you translate, you might end up saying something unnatural like, "According to my opinion, this plan seems acceptable." Do you see the difference? Thinking in English helps you avoid those awkward phrases. Now let's talk about some techniques to make this process faster. One of my favorites is shadowing. Shadowing means listening to a short piece of English, then repeating it immediately in the same rhythm and tone. You can do this with podcasts or news. For example, if you hear, "Today is a great day for a walk," repeat it right away. "Today is a great day for a walk." Do this several times. It trains your brain to process English without translating. Another powerful method is roleplay. Let's do a quick one together. Imagine two friends, Daniel and Sarah, are talking after work. Daniel says, "Hey Sarah, what are your plans for the weekend?" Sarah answers, "I'm planning to visit my parents. We'll have lunch together." Daniel says, "That sounds nice. I might go hiking if the weather's good." Sarah replies, "Great. Hiking is a wonderful way to relax." Did you notice the short, clear sentences? When you think in English, these sentences become automatic. And finally, let me share a story from one of my listeners, David. David moved to Canada last year. At first, he was afraid to speak because he always translated in his head. He told me, "Julia, I felt like I was speaking too slow." I gave him this advice. Start with simple thoughts in English during your daily activities. After a few months, David sent me a message. "I just had a long conversation with my colleague without translating anything." That is the power of this method. Now let's talk about some common mistakes people make when they try to think in English. One big mistake is trying to memorize long lists of words. That doesn't really help you think faster. Instead, it's much better to learn short phrases and expressions. For example, instead of memorizing the single word consideration, try learning the phrase "take it into consideration." When you learn chunks like this, your speech sounds much more natural. Another mistake is worrying too much about grammar while thinking. Think about it. When you use your own language, do you stop and check every grammar rule before speaking? No, you just talk. Do the same in English. Focus on communication first. Grammar will improve naturally as you practice. Let's try a little scenario together. Imagine you're at a restaurant with your colleague Emma. She asks, "What are you going to order?" If you think in English, you can answer, "I think I'll have the grilled chicken." And Emma replies, "That sounds good. I'm getting the pasta." See how smoothly that flows? That's what happens when you stop translating. Here's a story my friend Olivia once shared with me. Her husband, Mark, wanted to improve his English because he had weekly meetings at work. At first, he always wrote down answers in his language and then translated them. But this made him nervous and slow. One day, he decided to stop translating completely. During his morning walk, he started thinking in English. The sun is bright. The road is busy. People are jogging. After 3 months of doing this, Mark became confident and spoke without stress. And here's a tip that really helped Mark. Each day, choose a topic and think about it in English for just 5 minutes. For example, today's topic could be travel. Ask yourself in English, where do I want to travel? Why do I want to go there? And then answer, I want to travel to Spain because I love the culture and the food. If you do this every day with different topics, your brain will get used to thinking faster in English. Another very practical technique is keeping a simple English diary. Every night about your day. For example, very interesting. See how natural that feels? That's the power of thinking directly in English. Another powerful idea is to learn colloquians. These are words that go together, like make a decision or take a break. If you know colloquians, you won't get stuck on grammar. For example, you won't say do a decision, make a decision. And that makes thinking in English much faster. Let's imagine another work scenario. Your manager says, we need to finish this project by Friday. If you're thinking in English, you can reply quickly and naturally. Sure, I'll make sure it's ready on time. Simple, clear, and confident. Another exercise I love is speaking to yourself in English. You don't need anyone else for this. Just talk while you're walking, cooking, or shopping. Say things like, I'm walking to the shop. I need to buy bread. The weather is nice today. These small sentences are excellent brain training. Now, before we move on, I want to remind you of something important. Don't be afraid of making mistakes when you think in English. Mistakes are part of learning. Even native speakers make mistakes sometimes. The goal is not perfection. It's confidence and fluency.
Let's do another role play, this time at the airport. Emma says, Hi, Daniel. Are you ready for the flight? Daniel replies, Yes, I checked in online. How about you? Emma says, Same here. I hope the flight is not delayed. Daniel answers, Me too. I want to arrive on time because I have a meeting tomorrow. Emma replies, Don't worry, everything will be fine. Practicing short scenes like this in your mind prepares you for real situations. I want to tell you about another student of mine, Laura. She was very shy and avoided speaking English because she felt nervous. I suggested a simple habit. Think about her daily routine in English. When she woke up, she told herself, I am brushing my teeth. I am making breakfast. I am leaving for work. After just 2 weeks, Laura told me, Julia, I feel more confident now because English is always in my mind. Now let's move on to some advanced strategies for thinking in English. One powerful method is to plan your day in English. Instead of writing your to-do list in your native language, write it in English. Finish the report. Call the client. Prepare the presentation. This small change forces your brain to operate in English. You can also practice when making decisions. For example, in a shop, you might ask yourself, should I buy the red shirt or the blue one? The red one looks better. Thinking in English even for small choices helps you get faster. Storytelling is another fun exercise. At the end of the day, tell yourself your own story in English. This morning, I woke up early. I went for a short walk. Then I worked on an important project. This helps you practice the past tense and improve fluency. Let's do another little dialogue. Imagine Daniel and Emma are planning a team project. Daniel says, "We need to decide who will do each part of the project." Emma replies, "I can work on the research section." Daniel says, "Great, I'll take care of the presentation slides." Emma adds, "Perfect, let's meet again tomorrow to check our progress." Daniel replies, "Sounds good, see you then." These short, natural conversations are exactly what you can practice in your mind when you think directly in English. Now let's touch on pronunciation. Thinking in English also improves how you sound because you're hearing English sounds in your head. If you always think in your own language, your pronunciation may be influenced by that language. But when you think in English, your brain starts to adjust to English sounds. Another big benefit is confidence. Many learners hesitate or pause too long before answering questions. But when you think in English, your answers are faster. Faster answers mean more confidence. And confidence makes a huge difference in conversations, interviews, and meetings. And here's something exciting. When you think in English, you start to understand jokes, idioms, and cultural phrases more easily. For example, if someone says, "It's raining cats and dogs," you know they mean heavy rain, not real animals. Thinking directly in English helps you catch these expressions naturally. Let's do a quick role play for practice. Imagine you're in a meeting with your team. The manager says, "We need new ideas for the marketing campaign." Daniel says, "I think we should focus more on social media." Emma adds, "That's a good point. We could create short videos to promote the product." And the manager replies, "Excellent suggestions. Let's start working on this today." See how ideas flow without translation? That's exactly what we're aiming for. Another powerful step is to surround yourself with English in your environment. For example, change your phone settings to English. When you check your messages, calendar, or settings, your brain automatically works in English. It's a small step with a big effect. One of my students, Michael, experienced this. He's an engineer, and his company hired people from different countries. He felt slow in meetings because he kept translating. I told him to practice using English every morning. He started reading short articles in English, then explained them to himself in English. This article is about technology. It explains new tools for building houses. After 1 month, Michael messaged me, "Julia, now I can join discussions without feeling nervous." Another useful exercise is to create imaginary conversations. Think about what you'd say to a neighbor, a colleague, or even a shop assistant. For example, imagine meeting a neighbor at the gate. Say in your head, "Hello, Daniel. How are you today?" "The weather is nice. Did you have a busy morning?" Then imagine his answer and continue the chat. Let's role play one together. Daniel says, "Good morning, Julia. Did you sleep well?" "Yes, I slept very well. I woke up early to prepare breakfast. How about you?" Daniel says, "I slept well too. I'm going to the office now." Julia replies, "Have a good day at work." See? These short, everyday conversations become automatic when you train your mind to think directly in English. Here's another story. My friend Laura has 2 young children, and she wanted to teach them English at home. She made a simple decision. During breakfast, the whole family would use English. She would say things like, "Pass me the bread, please. Do you want some milk?" And her children answered in simple English too. After some weeks, something amazing happened. The whole family started thinking in English during meals. Laura later told me, "This habit made my English more natural because I used it every day in a real situation." That's the power of creating small English moments in your life.
Another technique that helps many learners is labeling objects around the house. For example, you can put a small sticker that says mirror on your mirror or door on your door. Each time you see the object, you read the English word. Slowly, your brain stops translating and starts thinking in English automatically. You can also improve your thinking speed by using simple questions and answers during your free time. For example, if you're waiting for a bus, ask yourself, "What time is it? Where am I going? What will I do when I arrive?" And then answer in English. "It's 3 o'clock. I am going to the office. I will send some emails." These small exercises create quick connections in your brain. Now, let's listen to a dialogue example, this time between Emma and her husband, Mark, planning their evening. Emma says, "Mark, should we cook dinner at home or eat out?" Mark replies, "I think we should cook at home. We have fresh vegetables." Emma says, "Good idea. I can make a salad and you can grill the chicken." Mark replies, "Perfect. Let's start now so we can eat early." This is a natural flow of ideas. It happens when you think in English, not when you stop to translate every word. A very effective method, especially for advanced learners, is to think in full sentences instead of single words. So don't just think apple. Instead think, "This apple is red and sweet." Don't just think office. Instead think, "I will arrive at the office in 10 minutes and I need to prepare my notes." Thinking in full sentences trains your brain to use grammar naturally. One of my advanced students, Sarah, works as a manager. She often led meetings with international clients. In the beginning, she always wrote everything in her language first and then translated. I told her, "Try writing your meeting notes directly in English." She tried, and within weeks, she didn't need her native language anymore. She told me, "Now my ideas come in English first." That's real progress. Another technique is using memory stories to connect words with images. For example, if you want to remember the word bridge, imagine yourself walking across one. Say to yourself, "I am walking across the bridge." That picture creates a strong connection without translation. Let's practice with a travel example. Imagine you are visiting a new city and your colleague Daniel is with you. Daniel says, "Natasha, do you know where the nearest bus stop is?" Natasha replies, "Yes, it's just around the corner. We need to walk for 2 minutes." Daniel says, "Great. I hope the bus is not crowded." Natasha replies, "I think it will be fine. It's still early." When you think in English, answers like these come naturally, without stress. Another advanced method is to explain things you already know in English. For example, if you know how to make tea, explain it. "First, I boil water. Then I add tea leaves. I wait for 3 minutes and pour it into a cup." This makes your daily thinking process active in English. Many learners also face fear of speaking in front of others. But when you think in English, that fear gets smaller because you're not memorizing a script, you're just sharing your thoughts. For example, at a team lunch, you might say, "I like this restaurant because the food is fresh and the service is quick." Simple, clear, confident. Another story comes from a listener named Jacob in Germany. He works in an international office. He used to write emails in German first, then translate. I encouraged him to try writing directly in English, even if it wasn't perfect. He wrote, "Hello team, I will send the updated report tomorrow. Please check the first section carefully." His colleagues understood everything. From that day, he stopped translating his emails. Now, let's do a role play in a family situation. Laura says, "Daniel, can you help our son with his homework?" Daniel replies, "Sure. What subject is he studying?" Laura says, "He has to write 3 sentences about his weekend." Daniel replies, "Okay, I'll sit with him and help him write them in English." Laura says, "Thank you. After that, we can have dinner together." This tip, read aloud. Don't just read with your eyes. When you read with your voice, your brain becomes more active and your thinking in English becomes faster. Sometimes learners say, "Julia, I don't have time to practice every day." And I always answer, you don't need long hours. Even 5 minutes on a walk, on a bus ride, or while waiting in line can make a big difference. Let's make another workplace dialogue. Manager says, "Emma, did you finish the client report?" Emma replies, "Yes, I finished it this morning. I'll send it to you now." Manager says, "Great work. Please also prepare a summary for the team meeting." Emma replies, "Sure, I'll have it ready this afternoon." These short, clear answers come naturally when your brain is trained to think in English.
One last advanced technique is to use English when planning your future. For example, write your goals in English. I want to improve my speaking by practicing 5 minutes every day. I will join a language group next month. I will start reading English articles about my job. Writing goals in English makes your connection to the language stronger. Another helpful exercise is making quick decisions in English. For example, you open your fridge and see milk, eggs, and bread. Instead of thinking in your language, say, "I will make scrambled eggs." This forces your brain to create direct, simple sentences. Let me tell you about Anna, a teacher who moved to an English-speaking country. She felt slow when speaking because she worried too much about grammar. I suggested she start thinking about her lessons in English before class. She began saying to herself, "Today I will teach new words. I will ask students to practice speaking." After a few weeks, her students noticed she sounded more natural. You can also record yourself. Every morning, describe what you see. For example, I am standing near the window. The sky is cloudy. People are walking to work. Then listen later. This helps you improve naturally. Here's another role play. Imagine Daniel and Sarah are planning a picnic. Daniel says, "Sarah, should we go to the park this Saturday?" Sarah replies, "Yes, that's a good idea. The children will enjoy playing outside." Daniel says, "I will bring sandwiches and you can bring drinks." Sarah replies, "Perfect. Let's leave early to find a good spot." See how simple and natural this exchange feels? That's what happens when English becomes automatic. Another powerful step is to think about feelings in English, not just objects.
For example, if you feel tired, say, I feel tired because I worked a lot today. If you feel happy, say, I feel happy because I finished my project. This builds emotional vocabulary and makes your English more real. Let me share a story from Joseph, one of our listeners. He works in a bank and meets international clients. He wanted to answer faster in English. I told him to keep a notebook with common questions and answers. Each night he read them aloud. Can I help you with this document? Do you want me to explain the process? After a month, he didn't need the notebook anymore. His brain remembered the sentences automatically. You can also think in English when planning your weekly schedule. For example, say to yourself, tomorrow I will start work at 9. On Tuesday, I will meet a client. On Friday, I will rest at home. These simple plans are real English practice. And here's one more workplace dialogue. Emma says to Mark, do you have time to review the new project plan? Mark replies, yes, I can check it this afternoon. Is there a deadline? Emma says, yes, the manager wants feedback by tomorrow morning. Mark replies, okay, I'll send my comments tonight. Short, natural, confident. That's how you build the habit of thinking directly in English. Step by step, story by story, habit by habit. Another very effective habit is to explain pictures in English. Take a look at a photo in your phone and try to describe it. For example, you can say, this is a picture of my family at the park. The sun is shining and everyone is smiling. When you do this, you train your brain to build sentences about anything you see. One of my students, Rachel, used this exact technique with her old family photo albums. Every evening she described 3 photos in English. After just 2 weeks, she noticed a big change. Her speaking became faster because she no longer waited for translations. You can also practice thinking in English when giving directions. Imagine someone asks you how to go to the post office. You might say, go straight for 2 blocks, then turn left at the traffic light. The post office is next to the bank. Directions like this are very common in daily life, and practicing them helps you build useful, automatic expressions. Let's listen to a short family dialogue. Laura says, Daniel, can you pick up the children from school today? Daniel replies, yes, I will finish my work early. What time do they finish? Laura says, they finish at 3 o'clock. Please remind them to bring their sports shoes. Daniel replies, I will do that. After we come home, we can have some fruit. Conversations like this happen every day. By practicing them in English, your thinking becomes much more natural.
Another small but powerful tip is to set reminders in English. Instead of writing in your own language, write, buy bread at 5 p.m. or call the office in the morning. Seeing English sentences in your daily routine makes your brain more comfortable with the language. Now, many people ask me, Julia, what if I don't know a word in English? My advice is simple. Use a word you already know. For example, if you can't remember the word enormous, just say very big. Thinking in English does not mean using the most difficult words. It means using clear words quickly and confidently. Let's practice with a travel scenario. Imagine you are at a hotel reception. Receptionist says, good evening. Do you have a reservation? You reply, yes, my name is Daniel. I booked a double room for 2 nights. Receptionist says, welcome, Daniel. Please fill out this form. You reply, sure, can you tell me what time breakfast starts? Receptionist says, it starts at 7 a.m. Simple exchanges like this keep communication easy and natural. Another exercise is to explain steps when you are fixing something. For example, first, I need to find the screwdriver. Next, I will remove the screws. Then, I will replace the battery. This method is very useful if you work with tools or machines. I also want to share a story about Henry, a shop owner. He wanted to improve his English with customers, so he started naming every product in English while arranging his shop. He would say, "This is bread. These are apples. Here is the sugar." After a few weeks, he was able to tell customers prices and details in English without thinking. Another excellent habit is to read short news headlines in English and tell yourself the main idea. For example, the city will build a new bridge next year. Or, the weather will be warm tomorrow. Focusing on the key point helps your mind stay in English instead of translating. Let's do another workplace conversation. Manager says, "Emma, please send the meeting notes to the team." Emma replies, "I will send them before lunch." Manager says, "Thank you. Also, check the report for errors." Emma replies, "Yes, I will check it now." Notice how short and direct these sentences are. This is exactly how native speakers communicate at work. You can also practice English while shopping online. Read the product descriptions and reviews in English. For example, this jacket is made of cotton. The size is medium. It has good reviews for quality. Thinking this way connects English with real actions you do often. Now, let's imagine the story of Mark, a delivery driver. Every morning, he checks his list of addresses and plans his route. Today, he has 5 deliveries to deliver. He starts with the nearest house, leaves the package at the door, and takes a picture as proof. Then he moves on to the next house. During his breaks, he drinks water and eats a sandwich. Mark enjoys his job because he can meet new people and see different parts of the city every day. As you hear Mark's story, ask yourself some simple questions in English. How many deliveries does Mark have today? What does he do during his break? Why does he like his work? Your answers might be, Mark has 5 deliveries today. He eats a sandwich during his break. He likes meeting new people and seeing the city. This type of active listening and answering is very powerful. Now, I want you to imagine your own day, your school, or your work. Describe it in simple sentences. I go to school in the morning. I have 3 lessons. I eat lunch at 12. I go home and do homework. Speaking or writing like this helps you think in English naturally. Let's imagine another daily life dialogue. Sarah and her husband Daniel are deciding on dinner. Sarah says, "Daniel, should we cook pasta or rice tonight?" Daniel replies, "I think pasta is better. We can make it with vegetables." Sarah says, "Good idea. I will prepare the vegetables and you can cook the pasta." Daniel replies, "Perfect. Let's start in 10 minutes." Situations like this are easy to imagine and very practical.
You can even talk to yourself in English while cooking. I am boiling water. I am cutting vegetables. I will add salt now. Another listener, Lucy, shared her experience. She lives in London and works in an office. In the morning, she makes coffee and listens to a short English podcast. Then she reads a few emails and tries to repeat sentences in her mind. After a few weeks, she noticed her listening improved, and she could answer questions faster in meetings. Her tip is simple. Focus on key words. For example, if you hear, "The train to the city is delayed due to maintenance," the key words are train, city, delayed. Even if you don't know the word maintenance, you still understand the main idea. Let's practice another travel dialogue. Emma says, "Mark, do you know where the taxi stand is?" Mark replies, "Yes, it is near the hotel entrance. We need to go quickly because the airport is busy." Emma says, "I hope we are not late. Did we pack all our luggage?" Mark replies, "Yes, I checked everything. Let's go now." By repeating conversations like this, your brain gets used to real-life English. Another practice is to describe your surroundings. For example, if you are in a park, say, "There are 3 trees. People are walking. A man is jogging. The sky is blue." Simple observations help you think in English naturally. Now, let's follow David, a student. He wakes up at 6:30 a.m. He eats breakfast with his parents and walks to school. At school, he studies math, science, and English. His favorite class is English because he can read stories and listen to podcasts. After school, he plays football with friends, then goes home for dinner. Think about David's day and answer these questions. What time does David wake up? What does he eat for breakfast? What is his favorite class? Your answers might be, he wakes up at 6:30. He eats breakfast with his parents. His favorite class is English. This type of active listening and answering is very powerful. Let's try a short family dialogue. Laura says, "Daniel, can you help me set the table?" Daniel replies, "Of course, I will put the plates and cups on the table." Laura says, "Thank you. Can you also bring the bread and water?" Daniel replies, "Yes, I will do that." You can practice these sentences in your mind while doing housework. Imagine each action and describe it in English. I am washing the plates. The water is hot. I am drying the dishes now.
When you clean your room, say, "I am picking up clothes. I am organizing books on the shelf." These small habits make English a natural part of your day. Now, a shopping example. Emma says, "Mark, do you want to buy milk and bread?" Mark replies, "Yes, we need milk, bread, and eggs." Emma says, "The store near our home has fresh bread. Let's go there." Mark replies, "Good idea. I will carry the bags." Before shopping, you can even make your list in English. Bread, eggs, milk, vegetables, fruit. Reading it aloud connects English with your real actions. Another listener, Thomas, also shared his story. He wanted to improve his English at work. Every morning, he would think about his tasks in English. I need to check emails.
I will call the client. I will prepare the report. This simple habit helped him stop translating in meetings and speak faster. Here's one more workplace role play. Manager says, Daniel, please check the latest report and send feedback to the team. Daniel replies, Yes, I will check it today and send my comments. Manager says, Thank you. Also review the presentation slides before the meeting. Daniel replies, I will do that now. Do you notice how clear and simple this communication is? Training your mind in English helps you speak like this naturally. Finally, another daily life practice is to describe steps when you cook. For example, first I cut the vegetables. Then I heat oil in a pan. I add the vegetables and cook for 5 minutes. Finally, I serve the food. Explaining steps like this makes your English flow automatically. Let's begin with a simple story about daily life. Mark wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning. He puts on his running shoes and goes to the park. He runs for 20 minutes and stretches afterward. At the park, he meets his friend Daniel and they jog together. After the run, Mark drinks some water and then goes home for a shower. Thinking about these activities in English is already excellent practice. Now, let's imagine another person. Her name is Emma, and she is a nurse. Emma starts her day very early. She gets ready, eats breakfast, and drives to the hospital. At work, she checks her schedule and prepares all the equipment she needs. On this day, she has 5 patients to see. Each one has a different problem, so Emma must listen carefully and give instructions. She speaks to her patients in simple English. Please take this medicine twice a day. Drink water after each meal. Call me if you feel any pain. Emma enjoys helping people and also enjoys learning new words every day. After listening to her story, let's practice some questions. Answer in English if you can. What time does Emma start work? How many patients does she see? What instructions does she give? The answers are, she starts early. She sees 5 patients. She tells them to take medicine and drink water. This type of questioning is very powerful because it trains your brain to respond automatically in English. Let's practice a short dialogue connected to Emma's work. The patient says, Emma, I feel a little dizzy. Emma replies, Please sit down and drink some water. Did you eat breakfast today? The patient answers, Yes, I ate toast and milk. And Emma says, Good, rest for 10 minutes and call me if it continues. When you practice these short conversations in your mind or aloud, your brain becomes faster at forming English sentences. You can even change the context. Instead of a patient, imagine a friend, a family member, or a colleague asking for advice, and you answer in English. Another great technique is storytelling. You can tell a short story about your own day. For example, this morning I woke up at 7 o'clock. I brushed my teeth and had breakfast. Then I went to the park and met my friend. You can add small details to make your English more colorful, like the sun was shining and the birds were singing. These details make your story sound natural. Let's continue with another everyday situation. Laura says to Daniel, "We need vegetables for dinner. Can you go to the market?" Daniel replies, "Yes, I will get tomatoes, onions, and carrots." Laura says, "Please also check if they have fresh spinach." And Daniel replies, "Sure, I will bring everything by 5 o'clock." Short conversations like these are very practical for daily English. If you imagine them often, your brain begins to create sentences automatically. Now, picture Jacob, a young man who loves gardening. Every morning, he waters the plants, removes dead leaves, and checks for bugs. While working, he talks to himself in English. "I need more water for these flowers. The soil is dry. I will plant new seeds tomorrow." Talking to yourself in English during tasks is one of the most effective ways to practice. You can also practice giving directions. Imagine you are helping a visitor in your city. You could say, "Go straight for 2 blocks, then turn right at the traffic light. The post office is next to the bank." Simple sentences like this prepare you for real situations. Now, let's role play a travel situation. Receptionist: "Hello, do you have a reservation?" You: "Yes, my name is Emma. I booked a room for 3 nights." Receptionist: "Welcome, Emma. Please fill out this form." You: "Thank you. Could you tell me what time breakfast is served?" Receptionist: "Breakfast starts at 7 a.m. every day." Role plays like this give you confidence for travel conversations. Next, let's do a very simple exercise. Try to describe your morning in English without translating from your language. For example, "I wake up at 6:30. I take a shower. I make tea. I eat breakfast with my family. I leave for work." Doing this every morning is a very powerful training method. You can also practice making comparisons. For example, "This road is longer, but it is more beautiful." "This coffee is sweeter than the other one." "The bus is faster, but the car is more comfortable." Comparisons help you create more complex sentences naturally.
Let's imagine Thomas, an office worker. He starts his job at 9 o'clock in the morning. He checks emails, answers client calls, and writes reports. At 12 o'clock, he takes a short lunch break and talks to his colleague, Sarah. She asks, "Did you finish the project?" Thomas replies, "Yes," for the next meeting. After lunch, Thomas works on the presentation for the company meeting tomorrow. Now, let's answer questions about Thomas. What time does Thomas start work? What does he do at lunch? Who does he talk to? He starts at 9. At lunch, he talks to Sarah, and during that time, he also prepares for the presentation. These short question and answer practices are excellent for both listening and speaking. Let's imagine another family moment. Emma says, "Daniel, can you set the table for dinner?" Daniel replies, "Yes, I will bring the plates and cups. Should I get water too?" Emma answers, "Yes, please, and bring the bread." Daniel says, "Okay, I will bring everything in 5 minutes." Small family conversations like this are exactly what helps you think in English during real life. You can also practice giving instructions in English. For example, first I boil water. Then I add tea leaves. I wait for 3 minutes and pour it into a cup. Finally, I serve the tea. Explaining processes step by step builds automatic sentence structure. Let's move to a student's routine.
Lucy studies at home in the evening. She reads an English book for 20 minutes. Then she writes 5 sentences about her day. I woke up at 7. I ate breakfast. I went to school. I studied English and math. I came home and did homework. Writing like this every day helps your brain think directly in English. Another idea is to describe pictures. For example, imagine a park. You could say, this is a picture of a park. People are walking. Children are playing. The sky is clear. The trees are green. Practicing with descriptions improves both vocabulary and fluency. Let's return to another shopping dialogue. Laura says, Daniel, we need milk, eggs, and bread. Daniel replies, I will go to the market and get them. Do we need fruit? Laura answers, yes, get apples and bananas. Thank you. Daniel replies, I will bring everything by 5 o'clock. Shopping dialogues, family conversations, and work conversations are the foundation of daily English. And here's another tip. Ask yourself questions in English during the day. For example, what time is it? Where am I going? What will I do next? Answer in English. It is 3 o'clock. I am going to the park. I will meet my friend. These small habits push your brain to think faster in English. Now let's imagine a travel story. Emma and her husband Mark are at the airport. Emma asks, Mark, did you check our tickets? Mark replies, yes, I have them on my phone. Did you pack your bag? Emma answers, yes, everything is ready. Let's go to the check-in counter. Mark says, okay, I hope the flight is on time. Scenes like this are simple, but they prepare you for real conversations. Let's continue with James, a bus driver in a big city. Every morning, James starts his route at 5:30 a.m. He checks the bus, makes sure all the doors and lights work, and greets passengers, good morning, welcome on board. During the trip, he announces, next stop, Central Park. Please have your ticket ready. James enjoys meeting different people and hearing their short stories. Now think about James' day. What time does he start? What does he check before leaving? How does he greet passengers? The answers, he starts at 5:30, he checks the bus, he greets them with good morning. Here's a short dialogue from James' day. Passenger, excuse me, is this bus going to the train station? James, yes, this bus goes to the train station. It will take about 15 minutes. Passenger, thank you. James, you're welcome. Have a good day. These short exchanges are extremely useful for practice. Now let's meet Olivia, a student. She is learning English and wants to speak fluently. Every evening, she reads a short story in English. After reading, she summarizes it in her own words. The story is about a boy who finds a lost dog. He takes care of it and finds its owner. The boy feels happy and proud. Summarizing in English is a powerful method to train your thinking. You can also describe your surroundings. For example, I am sitting in my room. There is a desk with a laptop. I see a chair and a bookshelf. Outside the window, trees are moving in the wind. This practice improves vocabulary and fluency. Let's imagine another short family moment. Laura says, Daniel, can you help me water the plants? Daniel replies, yes, I will water the flowers first and then the vegetables. Laura says, thank you. Can you also check if the garden needs more soil? Daniel answers, sure, I will do that. You can practice similar sentences while doing chores. For example, I am washing the dishes. I am cleaning the table. I am folding the clothes. Speaking to yourself like this in English makes practice a natural part of your day. And that brings us to the end of today's practice. We explored many small stories, dialogues, and examples from exercise, family, work, shopping, travel, and study routines. Remember, the most important thing is not just listening, but also repeating, imagining yourself in these situations, and speaking out loud whenever you can. This is Julia, and you've been listening to English Without Limit. Keep practicing, keep repeating, and most of all, keep enjoying the process. Let's begin with a workplace example. Sarah works in an office. She starts her day by checking emails. One email says, "Please prepare the report for the meeting tomorrow." She replies, "Yes, I will finish the report and send it before 5 p.m. During the day, she talks to her colleague. She asks, "Do you need help with your task?" And her colleague replies, "Yes, please. Can you check these numbers?" Simple sentences like these are very common in offices, and practicing them helps you think fast in English. Now let's switch to another story. This one is about a man named Henry who loves cooking. He decides to make dinner for his wife, Emma. First, he chops vegetables and says, "I will cut the carrots and onions." Then he heats oil in the pan. Next, he adds the vegetables and cooks them for 10 minutes. He prepares rice and sets the table. Finally, he serves the food and says, "Dinner is ready." This is a natural way to practice step-by-step sentences in English. Now let's practice a short shopping dialogue. Emma says, "Daniel, we need cheese and milk for breakfast." Daniel replies, "I will buy them. Should I get eggs too?" Emma says, "Yes, get eggs and bread. Thank you." And Daniel replies, "I will bring everything by 6 o'clock. Practicing dialogues like these improves listening and speaking skills. You can even imagine yourself shopping in English and describe every item in your mind. I am buying apples. I am taking the receipt. Let's add